Welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. It's our 86th episode, issue 35 of the Grendel ongoing series, the second of 6 chapters of Devil's Reign, the arc that wraps up the Grendel ongoing series. Wow,
Right.
wow. It's been a while, Eli. Welcome back.
Yeah, man. So great to be back. It's been a minute. It's been a little bit of a crazy time, but it's good to be back with 86. Thanks, dude. Cheers. So what you been up to? I'll tell you what I've been up to.
Oh, what have I been up to?
What you got there? A little rum?
I have my Exo Man of War shot glass.
Nice.
The only way I could possibly even consider reading a Valiant book these days. It's the true love-hate with Valiant.
Yes.
What's going on with me? Mystery. You solved the mystery of who sent me Frank Thornton's Rivet books. It was you, you sneaky fellow. We also solved the mystery of a surprise Fish Police fan living in my house under my own roof.
Oh, yes, we did. That was hilarious.
Told me that when the cartoon show was canceled, she was a big fan and she wrote to NBC to revive Fish Police. So
it's amazing. That is amazing.
What's not Steve Purcell?
Frank
the
Thorne.
Other guy. No,
that's from this. Steve.
Fish Police guy. Get at my wife. She's a big fan.
Yeah.
What else? I'm going to be tabling at the Mocha Fest this weekend. Come out there and see me. Although this will probably broadcast the day after Mocha. So what's
true? You just did table at the. And that's in, is that in New York City proper, or is that in a borough?
That is in Manhattan. That is nice. Somewhere on the west side of Manhattan.
Nice.
Maybe Hell's Kitchen, thereabouts, I believe.
Nice.
Let's see, what else is going on? Tomorrow I'm going to go live with our friend of the show, Tony McMillan, multi-talent. His new novel series, The Bleeding Tree Trilogy, is released. This is book 1 of 3 that he's put out. Higher Climbs the Fire. Finished it last night. It was absolutely phenomenal. The access to creative flow, the command of his own imagination, and the pure punk energy that fills every project that our friend Tony does is really something to take in. That's my update. Eli, tell us about birthdays and contests and comics and all of that.
Oh man, do I have it with you? So yes, last weekend was my birthday. Tanisha took me downtown LA, where we got a hotel and just kind of chilled out. Little did I know that there was actually a podcast festival in town taking place at the Los Angeles Convention Center. So it was crazy. It was like the hotel was full of podcasters. First thing that happens when we pull up is I see the dude who runs Osiris Media, which is like the fish podcast entity, and they have all these other Godwin Evan, these like music podcasts that I listen to, and I I was like, holy shit, there's that dude RJB. And so I pulled up and I was like, dude, Tanisha, I want to go talk to him. But we pulled up and we have a big boognish on the side of our car, so he sees it and he kind of walks up and approaches me, and I'm like, RJB, what's up? So we started talking about podcasts. It was fucking crazy, man. And I was like, dude, we got to connect. This is awesome. So then about, 45 minutes later, I'm coming down. I'm like going to the elevator, and who's in that fucking elevator? RJB. So then I talk again. I'm like, dude, he's like, I got your tweet. And I was like, okay, cool. This is a little awkward now. I tweeted at him. And it was kind of funny, but fun. And then, so we did that. We went, had Korean barbecue. We love that. And then just hung out in the hotel bar, basically talking to all these podcasters about their podcasts, which was just wild. It was so fun. I love just, and it's the first time in a really long time post-COVID where we were like sitting in a bar, talking to a ton of different people, maskless, having fun, feeling good about it. So
feeling normal.
The next day we went across the street to this interactive museum exhibit, pop-up museum about Tupac. I don't know. I'm not a huge Tupac fan. I like his music, sure. I listen to the song where they, sample Ooh Child. I love that. I love that song.
Hit 'em up.
We listened to that. It was, we saw that and it was really, really fun, super intriguing. Like, I got a couple of Tupac records, and I was like, working today, jamming Tupac records. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot. It was super fun. So
in Sug Mansion.
No, they didn't do that. One of the coolest things they did
in
was
your house. Is your house now?
Now it is. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I was like, should I listen to the new Frank Zappa record I got or the new Tupac record I got? And I was like, well, it's good to have diverse musical tastes.
Well, happy birthday, Eli.
Thanks, buddy. 38 years old. Can you believe it?
Well, you keep well, we've managed to surround ourselves with thousands of comic books to keep youthful.
That's
amazing
true.
How that works.
It's so great. Also, I sent off Wizard and Ghost Agents #2 to the printer. They're out of my hair, and so I haven't been like tinkering all night like I was for like the past fucking year, like moving stuff around. And I fast tracked a proof so that I can get a proof like you suggested. So that's on its way to me here. And then I'm coming east in like a week. And so, I wanted the proof before I go east so I can bring it with you. So I can hopefully show you when we meet up.
We got it. We're going to do Metropolis Collectibles, Ed Koch Warehouse.
Damn right. And something else. We're going to get some books.
We'll get some books.
All right. And so at the end of the catch up here, I just wanted to hip you all to a new contest that we're running here, a fan interactive thing. It's a fan art contest. So we're running this contest for fan art. It can be Grendel. It can be any of your favorite Grendels. It can be a new Grendel. It can be me and Ben as Grendel. It can be me and Ben. It can be whatever you want. But the Devil in Detail is the name of the game, fan art. The winner will not only become our new podcast art on iTunes and stuff, that you'll also win a complete run of Volume 2, Grendel Kamiko Volume 2.
That's 40 issues of comics.
That's 40 issues of comics, the full Volume 2 run.
What an investment. Get them slabbed now before it goes to Netflix.
Exactly. And we're going to run it. We're going to run the contest for a little while to make sure that we can get enough submissions and stuff like that. So get on it. Email me at eli@cosmiclionproductions.com and we'll start it off, man. I am super psyched to see more art. And then perhaps for the next zine that we put out, all of these arts will be featured in the next podcast zine.
Your chance to win.
Your chance to win a full run and fame for life.
Join the ranks of the published. Is that
all right.
Anything else?
I think that's it for now.
We must Grendel. Let's do it.
Like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, welcome back to the Devil in Detail. Thanks again, Manus and Laserdisc, for that killer theme song.
And Eli, thank you for turning 38. In honor of your birthday, I bought myself a gift.
Yay!
The Commandee Omnibus.
Commandee.
I want to thank Joe Matt for convincing me to get this giant book that was 40% off on Amazon.
Hell yeah. Shout outs Joe Matt, as always.
If things ever get hairy in my house because of this purchase that I made, I'll just blame Joe Matt, which is pretty much what I do for all the problems in my life. So it'll work out.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's. Oh, what's that? The next issue.
This is the book we're talking about. This is the first ongoing issue that I ever got. It's probably the first Grendel comic that I owned. I think I had read Tales. I might have had Devil by the Deed. I'd read the Croatian stuff, loved it, and probably found this in a bin. And
I would not recommend anyone start here.
Well, I didn't read it, so
right. This is the worst place to start.
I feel like I didn't even like get to the midway point where like the Tim Sale Unleashed bit begins. I just like saw the super. I mean, I even showed it to my wife, and her response was, "Oh!" at how dense it is. But it's phenomenal.
You need to want this information. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's so much words, there's so many words. It's very dense, but like if you're invested and you've read all the way here, you want this information. And so
the subtext that I think is supposed to be present is that this book is a propaganda piece and it's completely unreliable because all it does is talk about how great it's written by his daughter, I think. And that's basically how Dune is written, by Princess Irulan, or the opening segments have those like passages about like how great Muad'Dib is and all that. But this is just telling you like how phenomenal it wasn't easy for Orion to take over the world, but he did it really well.
He did it so smoothly,
and they had a great time doing it too.
It's a little bit of like Caesar too, and like all this stuff about how he just wanted it, and they present his buddy presented this great idea, and then it was just like, yeah, let's do it. Australia's dumb. Of course we want to join.
For sure. So the opening shows us a bar in Vegas where the vampires hang.
And then along the bottom we get the superimposed images of Orion and
that hasn't
Manny.
Changed. Yeah, that layout hasn't changed since the last issue. I don't know if it will. It might a little bit. We get Manny here. Manny's a great addition.
I love Manny. Yeah.
So before we get in super detail, what's the thrust of this issue? It's about the transition from Calmerica, which is the unified systems, into UNow, United Nations of the World, which is Calmerica and Australia
for now
as one.
Yes, exactly. And we kind of get into like inner workings, and then again we're also seeing Orion's personal life a little bit more with Sherri and how that's growing a little bit, and how she's traveling the world as this like emissary, talking with all these different nations and trying to smooth it out.
I haven't finished this series, but I have read War Child, and my memory is that Sherri is not present in War Child. So we'll see what happens with her.
Orion and the women in his life don't have a great.
Yeah, it doesn't work out. Okay, let's
dive in. So we made notes again, guys. This is super dense. So if you see me reading from my computer, you're not going to see me do that. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right. So the state of the world when Orion took over, it's like a little bit, it was like shitty. We had just the sun tower had just fallen. What was it called? Sun tower?
Sun gun.
The sun gun. Yeah, the sun. And all that had just collapsed. And like everything had just like fallen down, and things were in rubble. The races were divided. The rumors of nuclear development were the order of the day, and like out of this, and it was like a political mess is what it says.
Yeah. Now Orion reclaims Denver. I think it was Denver, where Vatican West had fallen, and they build the new Calmerica capital, the Sun House.
Right.
And
not to be confused with Sun House, the 1920s blues artist who influenced Robert Johnson.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that.
You wouldn't confuse this.
If you like blues, you'll love blues.
Yeah, go for Sun House. But if you like Grendel, go for the Sun House.
The question that Orion is sort of weighing here is just like how brutal an imperialist he's going to be, because he knows that there's no question, like Hunter, he must dominate the entire world. The Grendel urge says that if you are really here to bring some sort of unity to Earth, it must be all Earth.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, he wants to do it in a way that's like kind of, like noble, because he thought the Pope was so terrible, religion was so shitty, so he's like, I can do this in like this noble way.
It's really like a road to hell kind of scenario.
Right.
Because
it's paved in gold.
This first page, just like the last one's first page, has this giant bleeding vertical pan from the sun in the Rockies, and then we go down and see the Sun House and the people holding banners for him. One of them reads John the Revelator. You know him. He wrote the book.
Wrote the book of the Seven
Seals.
Seas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seals.
He wrote Revelations.
Yeah.
Right, so he's the
Again.
awesome.
I only know that from a blues song. Tell me who's that right now, John the Revelator. Did somehow sing that one? Because that'd be cool. All right, so then and we see the Calmerica flag too, which is kind of interesting.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Bernie, there's a lot of places here where the coordination with Bernie is, like, listen, they work with Bernie, they know Bernie's like a brother at this time, and to give him specific directions and to say, Tim, sit back and let Bernie do this. That's the creative flow of working with a team, making process, accessing that level of production.
Well, and it's almost like Tim Sale is like two artists of two minds with this book. He's really got this, well, because it's also like, this is a dense, and we're getting into a lot of information. And this is like a dense art style, succinct and to the point. And then when we get into the second half, it's like wild.
Yeah, it's the layouts are fairly rigid. It has this like old timey woodblock historical thing. Yeah, right. Very rigid. And then the second half, he's just cut loose. So the contrast is great.
Right. Love it. All right. On the next page, we're talking more, we see a little bit of an update on his relationship with Sherri Kniff, who continues to be his like partner, but not only in business now they're officially like in love. They're love partners.
She's his worldwide ambassador. She is going all over the planet, making sort of like sowing the seeds for Calmerica's imperialism.
Right. Much like Kate and the prince are doing right now, traveling around, taking awkward photos around the world for the British monarchy. Have you seen those photos?
Yeah, I thought that they that's Kate. Okay, great. So they're still all right. So yeah, they're trying to do their own thing.
You're not a royal watcher, huh? No. The only royal I watch is the progression of our good friend Sam J. Royal and his amazing artwork.
Ding. The other thing here is that Great Japan mentioned what of Great Japan. They are the threat.
They're kind of like the one people that are like they're banging heads with.
Small in size, Japan's staggering population and aggressive zeal had made it the one world power that was forever on Orion's mind. So
right. And Orion and Sherri still, they like miss each other. They're like kind of like ships passing the night a little bit. They only get to spend about half the year together, but they do manage to stay like super tight. Their connection is strong and deep. So it works.
I'm sort of constantly wondering what Fadi's role is. She doesn't really have any kind of characterization beyond like executive competence and loyalty to Orion.
Yeah, man. But I still think she's like, she does like everything. Like she is the like the like skeleton that keeps this lump of skin together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because this is a good segue to introduce what's this guy's name?
Manny. His full name is, what is it? Emmanuel McDoon.
Yeah, he's an Aussie psychic that Sherri has. She's like, I've got this great guy for you. I'm going to send him on over.
It's amazing.
Orion's a little skeptical, and then 3 panels into this meeting,
he changes everything. They're best buds. And no, we do know Matt loves Dune. I mean, is this some sort of Dune reference here?
To which one?
Well, his name is Emmanuel McDoon.
Dune? Like, I mean, there's plenty of other references to Dune.
To Dune, that's enough.
I don't know.
I love his characterization, the way he looks. Like upon first read of this book 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was for me, he immediately stuck out to me. He was like a favorite character. Though I didn't remember his name when I read Emmanuel McDoon Manny. I was like, I don't have any memory of that, but.
Well, his first name is not particularly Australian. He does have these like tribal tattoos that will become a motif moving forward.
For sure.
So that's the first time we see it. And then also the fact that he's a psychic who can read and send, and he's got like full on Jean Grey telepathy.
Yeah.
Now we've heard about Hunter Rose's mental mutation. And we know about vampires and immortal werewolf gods. And when Matt drops the psychic stuff on us, it's just like completely matter of fact.
Yeah, it's like, of course.
So So I find that interesting. A very
Yeah.
interesting piece of like decoding this whole thing. It's like, oh, you never thought this was a thing? Like, why wouldn't it be?
And again, like how you keep talking like this, we're reading from a unreliable narrator. Did he really have full powers? Was he just really concise? Could he read people? Did he, like what exactly was this guy's power?
Yeah.
But then again, like if there's vampires, there's vampires. You're not gonna metaphor that shit out. I mean,
yeah, and I don't know. It's a different kind of unreliability on this because I think it's like sanitizing the story. It's like how if a band or an organization, there's one recently that like sponsored their own documentary. Like if there was a documentary about Walt Disney made by his own company,
right?
Like,
it's
what
gonna
do
be
you think
glowing.
it's gonna say?
It's not gonna be like 1942.
Yeah.
Disney releases the Nazi duck cartoon.
Right. Yeah.
We're never gonna see that in that Disney.
Selling people out as communists. Like, they don't talk about that bit.
No.
The propaganda in the lower right, the Orion Sword ad, they kind of get more and more intense and like kind of catchier and more jingoistic as it goes on. Your right to protection.
Let's talk one thing here. We have some text that's in green here. Now, this is the text that he's kind of projecting into Orion's mind, or that this is in Orion's mind. This is his inner monologue that Manny is reading.
Reading, but also sending. So when it becomes green, it's
internal.
thoughts or ideas. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's confusing because it's only use he and he. Manny has his own like sort of Times New Roman font as opposed to the more like Arial font.
Oh, okay, I see. I didn't know.
So that's another thing.
But Manny's got some serifs going on. I didn't notice
limiting the pronouns instead of using. It's a very. I really wonder. I would love to hear Matt's thoughts on that choice.
I would love to hear Diana's thoughts as well to see if she was trying to convince him like this is not a good idea.
No, she probably won't. It's a very specific choice.
It is, yeah. And again, Matt pushing the narrative. It can get muddy, yeah. But then again, this is Matt, a young man, pushing the narrative, pushing comic book making every single time.
This is the most I mean, there's nothing short of Cerebus that's more complex than this.
Right.
As far as I've seen, I mean, it could be.
Yeah, same. I mean, nothing that's had this long a run or that had
1989. What's like Todd McFarlane is drawing, spaghetti webs, like, right?
I think that's even a little later.
Right. Or Mark Silvestri is basically drawing porn in X-Men. Like, that's
right. So awesome.
All right, great.
So next page 4, here we are. We continue along. Sweats can be trouble. So what is Sweats? That's the southwestern, southwest, east.
That's the desert and maybe Mexican territories and Baja and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. I meant to look that up, but I forgot.
Sweats is like very confident because the vampire problem is not a big deal for them because of the climate or
it's so hot there that no. Because they like the heat because of Vegas? Or no, but that's the problem because it does say that
the first issue does say that like because it's arid, the vampire's not there. The vampires don't like fire and they definitely don't like water. There's a part later on where they're threatened with sprinklers and they don't like that. Right. Or with water guns. Manny starts as soon as Manny joins the fold, things get better, morale improves. Orion's struggle, as Matt describes it, is centralizing authority because everything is so fractured that he needs to like cut to the matter of things. And that's what Manny does. And he does it in this first example. They're in some board meeting and he reads the mind of someone. Oh, and by the way, you can extort this guy. He's cheating on his wife.
Exactly.
Totally a Hunter Rose move.
Oh, absolutely. We saw that over and over again with Hunter.
Over and over again. Yeah.
And it's the guy from Lazarus too. So Lazarus is still kicking. Lazarus is still a giant organization, obviously. And so he's like the guy from Lazarus is he's trying to be, he's being shitty, he's bigoted, and he cheats on his wife. Let's use it.
Yeah. Now it says that the team dynamic between Sherri, Orion, Fadi, and Manny is like
it's like a family.
It's very strong. Although what's happening in this panel is that Fadi is actually kind of dissing Manny. a little
really?
bit. So,
right. Yeah, humble too.
He's very humble too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's like,
who's to say? So
he
it might be
seems like he's like a very Vulcan-esque type character where he chills, doesn't show a lot of emotion, is quiet, kind of in the background, but then like drops these bombs, like like these truth bombs, these like, we don't see him ever like yell or become very, I forget because he starts banging drugs next couple weeks.
He's on drugs. He likes cartoons.
Does he? Oh, I forgot about that.
That's what happens in this issue. We'll get there.
Okay. Woo.
Right now, we're talking about Orion's Sword and the transition from COP to Orion's Sword, and like how they go from these like ragtag like mercenaries to like this proud fraternal force.
Exactly. And he makes it so that there's a soaring public desire to join the military. Like, if you want to be part of the world and part of this growing thing, you got to be in the military. It's like the coolest thing. Anybody's in Orion Sword now. So
I want you, right? It's like that.
Exactly.
He gives them these samurai outfits. He makes them look spiffy. He makes them feel important, and they're more important than like the municipal like police forces that still exist when they expand. We will get there.
Well, I keep seeing these too. I think you mentioned it before, like the commercials you see in the Starship Troopers movies or something. It's like, join now into Orion Sword. If you're looking for travel, if you're looking for joy, and you're looking for fraternal brothership, join Orion Sword.
To protect, serve, and assist, call your local chapter today. So it's it's almost like the Boy Scouts with guns.
It is, it's more than cops. It's more than the military. Exactly. It's like a fraternal organization.
Yeah. This sequence here is how Manny helps resolve disputes between different chapters. There's like what Santa Fe and Santa Cruz and Sacramento are at loggerheads, and Manny basically lets Orion know who's being straight and who's being withholding on information, and Orion makes like the instant call, and it all works out.
Well, how they're determined here too, it's not just he or she, it's tall and fat. So it's just like real generalized things, whereas like, no one is really got a name. These are just people, kind of like,
they're just tools.
Exactly, tools.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like in order to like make Orion like rise above it, if they used Orion's name,
right? He's the only one,
and then everyone else was pronouns or like descriptors.
Yeah.
Speaking of names, he talks about here where Grendel Khan is. They call him Grendel.
They call him Grendel. Yeah. Which was first like a derogatory name, nickname. In fact, they now use it as an honored title, one that spoke of their complete subjugation to the man who had led their country out of a near disaster.
It gave him both a secret thrill and uneasy dread.
Ooh.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to shout out Bernie too here with these watercolors here in the last panel here on the guy's face. It's a very what's the guy's name? He was like a artist in the 60s who did like a famous Statue of Liberty, a famous like almost like they ripped him off for the Yellow Submarine. Shit, I got a book right over there.
Max, Tony Max.
Yeah, Peter Max. Peter Max. Got a little bit Peter Max feel in there.
Yeah, it's I was actually looking at this face also. You notice how like the shadow has like the darker ring around it, like the pigment sort of settles around the edges.
Right, yeah.
Really, there are many places here where Bernie demonstrates like a very fine control over the amount of liquid and the amount of pigment.
Right.
And just like lots of effects.
Right, like he doesn't even draw his brush, like he almost just dips that color like in this like puddle of that kind of settles at the outside of the water.
Yeah. Really masterful work. Tim's stuff here, it's very like reserved and it's flat and it's simple, and I think it's supposed to look historical,
right?
It's like we're reading a textbook or a history book
or watching a documentary, like watching
totally a documentary produced by the people who started.
Right. Yeah, produced by Big Grendel.
Sure.
All right, cool. Next page, we're on page 6 now. Japan is like starting to become a thorn in his side now, like they're in starting these embargoes, different trade embargoes, so that they can't get like what some of the food that they need, where they have, it seems almost like they turn these oil rigs into giant greenhouses where they're like growing food out in the water. Exactly. Which is kind of smart, honestly. It's kind of a genius idea. So
they also get broadcasting rights into Australia,
right? Which
so
starts almost subjugating the Australian people into this with like this Japanese rhetoric, this Japanese what's the word? Russian
subliminal propaganda.
Yeah. Oh yeah, subliminal. Yeah, a lot of that, which we'll see later. But
that's all. Like now, the 50 million people in Australia is very close to the 47 million people that participated in the Calmerica unification vote. So that just gives you a sense of, and obviously we know that not every citizen is eligible to vote or gets out to vote.
Right.
So if that means that the Calmerica is X times bigger than Australia.
Right. And I guess these other places haven't suffered from such, these large terrorist attacks and explosions and bombs and stuff as much as the US has, or we just don't know about it yet,
Yeah. Orion gets on the horn with a bishop in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I think last issue or in God and the Devil.
Right, the bananas were coming from there. Yeah. Oh no, the bananas were from South America.
No, they're talking to the African Pope.
Right. He's the one that kind of gave up the bananas info, I think, right?
Yes, he did. Okay, yeah. That's right. Africa is developing nuclear arms.
Right.
Last issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a few places that are China, Great Japan, Africa, Australia, Calmerica are the places that are sort of in play narratively right now. I love this one, this panel that you mentioned of like the floating greenhouse.
Right.
They both do such a great job on like the water and the clouds and just like all their choices. Really, really nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Did you see I forgot to get the new Long Halloween comic that Brennan colored with Tim a few months ago. It's
great.
But Brennan was posting pages from, I don't know if they were new pages or old pages this week. I'm confused.
I think they were old pages, yeah.
They're from the original
Long process. Halloween? No, from what they did, from their work together.
Oh, from what they did? Oh my God.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of synergy, but with like, instead of like meticulous, like wet on wet watercolor, it's just Brennan's digital wizardry.
Right. It's so cool. It's so cool. Just the way that watercolor or whatever Bernie's using makes this comic look so much different. The way he's getting like this cloud feel, it almost looks like a tie-dye almost, but it looks exactly like, like stormy clouds, like just absolutely beautiful.
These clouds in the center might be grains of salt. They might be. I'm not. Don't.
So how do you mean? You drop it in water like that or something?
It's like it's like the water and the pigment react to the salt in a chemically, so the visual effect is like. We'll look it up. Examples here.
Very cool.
I might be wrong, but on the next
one other piece of info we get in this page is that America is barren and is not growing food, is not food sustainable. And so America needs the help of these other places in order.
And there's a timeline on like, if we don't resolve these embargo issues in like 3 months, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're out of food.
Okay.
We'll have to start eating each other. And
let's talk about Vegas and the vampires.
Exactly. Yeah. Starting to get crazy over there. The vampire epidemic is going crazy, and like, not because it's not like it's completely centralized in Vegas. Like some people like the end of Shaun of the Dead, some people, their family members get bit and they just kind of keep them in their home. They keep them sufficient on animal blood and like this plasma that is now like a big black market item. And, so it's not just like there's these centralized places, although I almost said Hunter. Orion is looking to start these camps, start like
they want to turn
vampire camps.
They want to turn the casino into an internment camp.
Right.
And what are these here? It's like the plague. I forgot what it was. They it's like chic. Vampirism is, instead of being like terrifying, it's sort of like people have sort of accepted it, and like,
well, yeah, it's underground.
You can like walk on the dark
statement.
side.
Yeah, like, well, Grendel's palace soon became the ultimate statement in underground chic, a chance to flirt with death under the very safest of conditions.
Yeah. Oh, it's similar to the internment of the American Indian and the reservation
modification of all that.
Reservation casinos, and like there's all this kind of all these parallels about like relegating like second-class citizens to these spaces where you can sort of like visit them and like see their way of life, or
right,
stuff like that. And then they had the finger prick test, but now that like the casino is theirs and it's open, there's really, really tight security. And if anyone,
did you skip to the next page? I don't think we're even there yet.
I'm on 7.
Oh, okay. That's in that second paragraph.
Anyone that you have to check in and check out, and if someone is unaccounted for, the Orion Sword basically turns on the sprinklers and douses all the vampires, and they all suffer if anything is out of place.
Insane. Yeah. So Orion's Sword is felt even there.
Yeah. Pellin's like public enemy number 1, though. He's in hiding deep in the casino, in the bowels of the casino.
He's a war criminal. All right, next
war
page.
Criminal, yeah.
Like there's so these new embargoes are really threatening Calmerica's resources, like, so they can't get it without getting their food from these other places, Japan or Australia. We're gonna hurt. We're hurting. That's what we were talking about last page. So Manny suggests that if they do some restrictions on Australia, then like that'll send a message to like Scar in Africa and Japan, or if they start working together with Australia to try to gain more prominence in the world, that they can escalate and they can elevate their stance and become a stronger superpower.
Yeah, they're gonna offer Orion's Sword chapters to start cropping up. They're gonna franchise Orion's Sword,
yeah, exactly,
over there. The adventure of a lifetime, the respect of all time. Call your local chapter today. So they're gonna send them over there, and and that's sort of like how in the bid for Japan, the bid for Australia is taking place.
Exactly. They're looking to, and because of the Japanese TV that's been going over there, they're already kind of like getting pissed and not looking favorably on these other things, whereas Japan is trying to is trying to plant their seeds and set their hooks in on Australia themselves. Mm-hmm. But as we turn the page, they're like, okay, we need to start a little bit of our own stuff to try to get Calmerica a little bit more self-sufficient.
Yeah. This page is the narrative point of this page is that they develop a hyper efficient solar panel cell,
right,
that allows them to build those offshore greenhouses,
right,
that basically takes care of the food problem.
Right. It's 1/6 the size and 25% more powerful.
Calmerica, the future is ours. It's all like we're constantly cutting back to TV. Like we have to state like how important basically this is.
Right. Exactly.
In pandemic, I get the weekly update. I'm disgusted by how much time I'm on the phone. Now, a lot of it is for work, but it's like your time was up 11% this week. You spent 9 hours on like.
I won't even turn that on. I can't even.
It's crazy.
I don't even want to see
it. So like the amount of like media that everyone across the world is consuming, and like how it is engineered with like, we're going to get to the psychic subliminal messages,
right,
is part of the war. The wars are fought through the media as well, not just with like militaries.
Absolutely. And we get a quick little scene at the end here where Sherri and Orion are chatting with each other at night, and we learn of Sherri's pet name for Orion, Sex Puppy.
Yeah, they're having some phone fun. That's okay. Nice.
He says woof woof.
Terrific.
All right, so on the next page, Sherri finally does come home. He's so excited that she's back. She gets to see Manny for the first time in his new position and how it's working. And she gives him a couple DVDs that she taped off of Australian TV. And he's like, dude, so psyched. I haven't seen Smiggins and the Roo in ages.
Sounds like a kid, like a kid show.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's what you're saying. Oh, that's why you're saying he likes cartoons.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's
what did I miss?
It's like something that it's like how Power Rangers is still running, or like you saw it when you were 10 and now it's like, oh wow, 15 years later I used to love this,
or like Ultraman or something like that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Awesome.
So all right, so they bang all the time,
a ton, but it also shows that like we already know that he is like very sexual. He's driven by this sexual desire, and it shows that when he gets into these times with Sherri, where he's with Sherri, it really recharges his battery and helps him to like take those next steps, because like in between times with Sherri, his like motivation level goes down, but then he, is with this like person he loves. It energizes him. It gets him going again. And then he's like ready to take on the next thing.
Bernie kills it on the tan lines. Well done, Bernie.
Yeah, great job, Bernie.
I love the tight knit fraternity of Orion's people. Mm-hmm. Manny walks in.
He walks right in. There's like, hey.
I have something really important for you.
He's like, you guys gotta watch this. Yeah.
He plugs in the cassette tape that she brought him, and there's a subliminal message of Calmerica burning. So
right, the flag burning.
I think that this is Japanese programming that it's like Australian flavored anime, basically. I was thinking
it was like airing on the like Japanese owned TV stations now or something like that. Like they bought the local affiliate of NBC, and the local NBC affiliate still shows like Fantastic Four in the morning, but it also flashes these messages, every like millisecond or whatever. And you see this slowly build up, and it shows the Calmerica flag burning, but then it also shows the like shape of Australia inside the Japanese flag. Like I
really like this. The first time I read it, I had a double take. I was like, oh, that's it was subliminal.
Yeah.
In its way. Manny suggests that it requires that a psychic talent is required to pick up on this. He's like, probably only me and a handful of other psychics notice this, but everyone else is getting fed it subliminally.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Sounds like Manny's at the door.
Yeah, Manny doesn't knock. He just walks in. And then at the bottom, this is where Orion Sword coming soon to Australia. So like every time they play these ads, the copy changes a little bit and drives the story forward just a little bit more.
Right. And it said 7,000 subliminal images were found in the like 2.5 hours of TV that she taped for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is science fiction,
right.
Whatever. So, like it is okay.
Again, Bernie
doesn't mean anything.
Actually, I think they both work. Like Tim and Bernie work in concert on this page so amazingly.
For sure.
Like the table reflections, the shapes on the Australia Japanese thing, the tie-dye thing behind Sherri here, like just absolutely beautiful comic here. Great comic work.
Totally unique. Yeah. All right, cool. We got E-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I find a copy for E-Man very, very strange. They're like, it's funny on purpose or something like that.
It was funny when funny wasn't cool. It's like,
okay.
When was funny not cool? I guess in comics, Dark Knight Returns era, is that even now?
Yeah.
Then this is a wild Silverback. Yeah. I mean, we see. Okay, that's not him. That's not the guy. Or is that him? What was his name? Because Wind in the Leaves is the girl's name. But what was his original name? I can't remember either.
Oh, Argent's name? No, that's not him. That's some other. Isn't there like there's like a shaman who's like banging his rival or something like that?
Yeah.
And then they all get eaten by Maslin or something. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, we got to read that again. I'll put the link. If you guys haven't watched our Silverback coverage, I'll put the link at the end of the video.
Yeah, if you haven't read Silverback, go for it. Okay, so this is so the next page is Manny showing off their like Calmerica's imported like
Right.
Australian stuff, and the subliminal messaging is that there's like this oh right, so the Orion Sword people, they're not like outfitted yet. It's still very ragtag, like it's bare bones.
Mhm.
So they haven't like gotten their samurai uniforms yet. And then there's like a heart, there's a kangaroo with a sword and a gun, and then there's a heart behind it, and then the Calmerican flag is behind that. So
Exactly.
it's, you know, okay, great.
And so they kind
Manny
of
goes to Dakota, and then this is
Oh,
all they
yeah.
work on.
That's right. That's
They,
right.
they make their little cartoons in the Dakota Hills.
And it looks like, you know, they're running these subliminal messages in Australia as well. I feel like that would confuse
They
people.
they're broadcasting out of the Orion Sword bases.
Oh, that's why he goes to Dakota to set that
Yeah.
stuff up. That's right. In that underground base where they were transmitting shit from before.
Yeah,
Got it.
probably because it might be an underground signal, because broadcasting rights are so like coveted that they probably just strong arm their way and are like, yeah, we got our own TV. What are you gonna do about
Yeah,
it?
exactly. All right, great. All right, so then on the next page, I really like these. Like we have these two panels at the top of like the Australian people getting ready to join, and then the next two panels below it, we see those same people now fully outfitted in their Orion Sword get-ups, outfits.
And loving it.
Love it. Huge
Yeah.
smiles.
Big
We're ready to
smile.
serve.
We're introduced to Albert Newton Hayes, who's the kind of like schmuck president of Australia,
Yeah.
who really just wants nothing to, I mean, it's fish in a barrel. He wants nothing to do with Japan. He's so thankful that Calmerica is here. He doesn't have a taste for the geopolitics. He doesn't have the Grendel urge. He just wants his people to be happy and safe, and Orion's the guy that's going to make it happen.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it. Shebang. All right. So then on the next page, we kind of have this kind of big, the big reveal here that like the Australian president, like he's dull-witted, but he's quick to embrace Orion's grace as morale has been low, like with all the Japanese TV, it's like beating up people and stuff like that. And so they have a vote to see whether Australia should join up with Calmerica, and it's like resounding. It's huge. Like everybody votes for it, you know. So they form what is called UNow, the United Nations of the World.
It's a big deal. It's the first time where two major powers from across hemispheres have joined together. And the segment ends with him and Sherri sort of being weary of Japan because it's a very funny outlook. Like we have the upper hand. We just defeated Japan in this one thing. Mm-hmm. Japan must feel uncertain, and that's what makes them dangerous. You know, he said the same thing about all his other enemies. It's a very like aggressive mentality.
Yeah.
Right. Where he was talking about the other systems that weren't going to join, or like who are we going to approach first? It's like, fuck that. They're going to come to me. These guys are fuck, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They'll want to join. And like it kind of ends with him like, you know, he's happy about Australian thing, but he's like, there's more. There's still more to do. Like
we need to continue the imperialism if we're going to survive, if we're not going to degrade into, like, we've seen what happens, what we've seen what division sows in the long term, and we're constantly trying to rebuild from that. So if I can't unite things, it's just going to go back down to that.
Exactly.
Dense,
and that's where it ends. And we move on to the Tales from the Underground, Burning Love.
Burning Love, a hunk of burning love.
Bernie Love, which is what we should call the first half of this podcast.
more Elvis stuff. Mm-hmm. This segment, I believe that this segment last time was narrated by Zebra Harriman, the character with the greatest name of all time. This one is by Kirsch, the other guy.
Okay, so is he the other guy that's like in the
he's the one with the glasses. He looks like Lucian from Sandman.
Oh, but do we ever even see? Oh, we don't ever even see him though, do we?
He's assisting Palin. We'll see him. He's in a few
I see him like at the very end. Yeah, with the
Well, so structurally this cross cuts between showing us what the chic Vegas vampire like tourist lifestyle looks like,
Right.
and Pelin trying to make a power play with a Japanese ambassador.
His own play with Japan. So we see them talking about the different tests, and this young lady's trying to get in. She passes, and then we see these like I really like this card design. It's really like needle nosed, kind of cruising in here.
Yeah, this is the Japanese ambassador, and his entry is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. What do you make of? Oh, the center panel is a reverse shot of page 1. We're at the top of Grendel's palace, and we're looking straight down on the ground.
Bottom.
Yeah, really, really wild perspective, Tim. All right, let's go.
Hell yeah.
Let's go to the bar.
And we hear a band, they're chanting undead, undead, Funny how when people are that scared all the time, their tastes turn black. So we see this girl and this guy kind of tapping her on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, girl. And then it crosses cut to the Japanese businessman coming up into Pelin's office with, as you said, there he is right there.
Yeah, he notes that the COP guards that are interning everyone in there are dressed like samurai, which to him is quite quaint.
Yes. And that's the COP, or that's the Orion Sword.
Yeah, they have to be there in order to they are interning vampires in this casino.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
We turn the page and we get this beautifully colored hype page.
Oh, you missed but there's Kirsch in the lower
there's
right.
Kirsch, exactly.
There's Kirsch. And Kirsch refers to Pelin as the first one.
Oh, that's right. Yes, exactly.
Right, so that's kind of
because he was he was like the first vampire at least in this, because he was changed by Tujiro.
Right, and Tujiro was hoarding the
vampiric gene
power.
or whatever.
It might have been that Sister Amy and Ludrico were also vampires, but he had them on.
But it was still a tight knit group.
But they needed. But once Pelin got it, it just exploded.
He went crazy with it.
Yeah.
All right. So on the hype page too, we do see that Diana is no longer in charge of editorial here. We have Shelley Roberg, who will become Shelley Bond.
Oh, I did not know that.
Very, very cool.
Deep cut. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And a very cool Kamiko page. I'll take this opportunity to hip you to these two Facebook groups. I'm sure everyone listening is in the Matt Wagner Grendel group that is on Facebook. That's been really fun. But then there's also a Kamiko page on there, which I've been scanning a bunch of these ads as we go along and posting them up in
that's admin by Jerry.
Yeah, exactly. It's like all the old original Kamiko peeps. All right, so then we continue on. We learn that the guy's name is the guy's name is Clyde and the woman's name is Bonnie. So here we got Bonnie and Clyde.
That's symbolic.
Oh, that's their like party names.
Yeah. And everything about him is vampire. Yeah. Everything about him screams.
Oh Dracula. He's got his eyeliner on, his black makeup, and they're talking here. They're just kind of chattering. I mean, their conversation is not as important as like this lifestyle that they're about to show, I don't think.
Right. She's a human. He is desirable to her because he is a vampire. Seemingly.
Well, yes. Well, we'll talk about that later. All right, so we get back to it, and the Japanese businessman is meeting with him, and Pelin's like, I've got it. I mean, they're just kind of meeting up, and we're cutting back and forth, and not a ton is happening to each party yet. They're getting their drinks, they're talking.
The atmosphere here,
beautiful.
Like Bernie kills it. It's the cast shadows, the white spatter, the highlights on the faces of the bartender. Everything is super atmospheric.
So beautiful. And Clyde's like, admit it, you were looking for me tonight. Like you're looking for a vampire to like hang out with and party with. Next page, we're back, and he asks for a drink, and he's like pouring a drink. He pours Pelin some animal blood. He's just got like a bubbler of blood, and he pours the Japanese businessman some whiskey, I guess.
He asks for sake.
Sake, that's right. Sorry, yeah. And they cheers, and like he says, our people could do so much for each other.
The Nagai-sama is not impressed.
No, not at all. He's like, animal
Little
blood.
Yeah, the bottom tier is a wonderful little bit of timing and rhythm, and notice the contrast in scale in the center when they cut back to this Japanese ambassador, how much
Right.
smaller he is.
They paint Pelin as such a large persona.
Yeah.
All right, we're back in, and they're like, they're teasing each other. He's like, let's dance. They're dancing. As we cut back and forth between these two events now, as they both begin to feed.
There's like a social and geopolitical symbiosis trying to occur in both threads.
Right. But then the Japanese businessman says, we have no intention of combining our efforts with a lot of subjugated and self-involved mutants.
Oh,
and
shit.
Pelin's like, Jesus, okay. And then he's like, all right. And he just leaps at the businessman now.
Yeah. Now the vampire date is about to, she's enthralled as he's about to bite her.
Well,
he's about to.
Right. But then he pulls out the teeth. No, that's her teeth she pulls out.
No, that's his. He's posing as a vampire.
Okay. And she's a human anyway.
She's only interested in him. It's like when Peter Parker says, "Oh, Black Cat, I'm this guy, Peter Parker." She goes, "I'm in love with Spider-Man. Get lost."
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is boring now. And she's like, oh, okay. But then we see the Japanese businessman who has been harvested and sucked dry.
Yeah.
Although he has been changed now.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing what exactly happens. Like, it seems like we'll get there. The vampire lore, at the end of this story is a little strange.
I think it's like one of those things where it's like, if you just bite them and drink some, they are turned, but then you can also bite them and drain them and kill them.
Yeah, well, you can, if you look at Pelin in the bottom, he's frustrated. He's having his withdrawal because he's teased himself with blood.
Right, exactly.
And they're still able to get this guy up on his feet because they have to get him out of the casino under his own recon so that he can check out, so that they don't turn on the sprinklers.
Right, exactly.
It's for their own. Well, spreading is fine. They just got to get him out so that COP doesn't jam them up.
Right. And then on the next page, you kind of see this thing of she was like, he's like, but come on, baby, and she's like, no, like, I kind of like thought you were a vampire, and that's what I'm looking for. Like,
I thought you were a vampire. I'm surprised you didn't pick up on your favorite phrase. Not my little chickadee, my little pigeon.
Oh yeah. She's like, I'm trying to take a walk on the wild side here, and you're just a dude in makeup at this point.
Yeah. The guy is he's checking out. He's getting his finger prick test to make sure that he's okay, and Pelin is like spazzing out because he only teased himself.
Right, and he grabs the thing. He's like, ugh. But then also the robot here says, like, it says test positive, proceed. So wouldn't it be like negative? You're negative, and he's like surprised because it should say test positive and hold him up, but it says test positive, proceed. Test
positive, you still appear to be human for now.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
It's a little confusing. But I think that it's a little confusing. We said the same thing about a single element from the last issue. There's structurally, because the Tales from the Underground deals with like a few single ideas that are pulled out of the textbook section.
Yeah.
I think what it does is it highlights the unreliability of the textbook, because we're going in being like, oh, but you told us this information. And then what we're seeing is like a little different. So I think that's what's going on here.
I think so too. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Then on the next page, we see how Clyde has drunk himself stupid on the bar. And we see how Pelin has drunk himself stupid in his office, basically.
They were unable to satisfy their larger desire, so they fulfilled their baser ones.
So they both got blue balls and then drank till they passed out.
I love Bernie's work on the tiles.
Oh,
everything. Bernie's work on the bar, tiles.
Love it.
Cross-cutting between the different mutes, the different muted tones in the bar versus the muted earth tones in Palin's hideaway. Really, really cool.
Well, the circles and the angles too that Tim achieves here as well, it kind of reminds me of Devil by the Deed with like this big circle jug here with these lines coming out of it at like angles and triangles, the angle of the bar, the angle of the carpet here. Like this is a beautiful final spread for both of them.
There's definitely some nice design geometry going on for sure.
Absolutely. Then we get this amazing ad, sex, drugs, and Grendel.
It's very funny how this is colored flat.
Right.
This doesn't even like this image. This is a custom ad. This image doesn't appear in the woodcut. It's not in the woodcut style.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They pulled something out and yeah.
All right. It's habit forming on sale October, $2.50. I can only imagine how much X-Men cost in 1989. Like maybe $1.
Maybe.
But look what you get. You get such a nice package.
You get an amazing book here. You get 2 books, really.
X-Men's not painted in watercolor blue line by Bernie Moreau.
No.
At 30 at 28
It's flat
pages.
color by Joe Schmo. Joe Jobber over here.
Yeah, this is good. I think that we were able to hit on something interesting where there are points of confusion in Tales from the Underground, but it's stemming from the fact that our information is coming from Crystal Asante or whoever.
Well, I don't think the Tales from the Underground is coming from Crystal Asante. I don't
know. The first part is the
exactly,
first part comes from Crystal Asante, and Tales from the Underground is reality. It's not it's not a sanitized documentary on how it goes down. I don't know.
Yeah. Just really cool the dichotomy of these 2 stories, the amazing work by each, like how much information is slammed in that first half, and then how smooth the story happens like in the second half. It really feels like you're reading 2 different comics.
It's funny how it's so dense in the first half that it almost is like it gets dry.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy read, but it's very good.
This story, I can't remember how it's presented in the trade, if it's all of the Orion stuff and then the Tales from the Underground stuff.
No, it's like this, and it's really cool when you look at the pages. Mm-hmm. It alternates between white and black, perfectly even, because the Tales from the Underground has all black gutters.
Right.
So it looks like your Tim Burton wall.
Striped. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This is one time where you really can. It really helps to read it in the trade version. I mean, obviously, you're not getting these great Bernie colors, I don't think.
No, but
because there wasn't a Kamiko trade.
Do a decent job.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, a Kamiko trade? I have a dark.
No, I don't think there was a Kamiko trade because once it ended,
I don't think so. Either.
Kamiko fell. Yeah.
Right. It's Jeremy Cox, and they look good, but they're not. But they're digital, so it's not. It's just not the same feel. It doesn't have.
It's a whole different feel. Yeah. I think at the end of the Kamiko run, we really need to get Jeremy Cox just on his own. We need to talk to him about this whole process. Jeremy Cox, hit us up. I'm going to hit you up. Another amazing week. We'll see you next week.
We know you're listening.
Oh, he's got to be listening. But until next week, I want you to vivat Grendel.
And keep on Grendeling.
Keep on Grendeling.
And keep on Grendeling.
Just keep on Grendeling.
Don't stop ever stopping of your Grendeling.
That's exactly right. Don't stop Grendeling.